Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is, hands down, the ultimate resource for developers looking for third-party data. I'm talking about the famous Public API's GitHub repository. If you've ever needed to pull in some external data, whether you're just messing around in a weekend hackathon or building a full-scale enterprise app, you've probably crossed paths with this absolute goldmine. To give you a sense of just how massive this project really is, it boasts over 438,000 stars on GitHub. That makes it one of the most starred repos on the entire platform. It's this buzzing global hub for developers, which really goes to show just how much we all rely on accessible, well-organized data to get our jobs done.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the ultimate API treasure trove, look at navigating the giant list, meet the community and curators, go over the rules of contribution, and finally talk about the catch with free data.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the ultimate API treasure trove, discovering a world of free data. The creators themselves actually call this repository a treasure trove, and honestly, they hit the nail on the head. But here's the crucial thing to understand. This isn't just some random dump of links. We're looking at a wildly extensive, manually curated list of public APIs spread across dozens of different domains. Every single link in here is something you can literally plug into your own products, use to test out new frameworks, or just use to level up your skills with external data. And this list brilliantly illustrates the sheer wild variety they've got available. I mean, you can find everything from quirky daily cat facts to heavy-hitting enterprise data. Actually, I want to highlight something super relevant right now. If you're building out an AI tool, their machine learning category is an absolute goldmine. It is packed with APIs for text generation, NLP, and computer vision from major players like Hugging Face and DeepEye. And it's all sitting right there next to stuff for geocoding, government stats, and finance. It's honestly fascinating to see these fun, highly specific community projects sitting right alongside super serious business tools. On one hand, you've got APIs serving up random dog pictures or anime quotes, which, by the way, are perfect if you're just learning front-end dev. But then, on the exact same list, you've got enterprise-grade heavyweights, things like IP Stack for precise IP geolocation, Market Stack for real-time stock data, and Open Sanctions for international compliance, all housed under the exact same roof. Moving right along to Section 2, navigating the giant list, how to read the map. Now, trying to navigate thousands of APIs would normally be total chaos, right? But the curators have solved this beautifully. Every single category follows this exact standardized markdown table format. It gives you the absolute critical technical specs at a single glance, way before you even click a link. You get the API name, a quick description, the auth type, whether it supports HTTPS, and its core status. Boom. Everything you need to know up front.
Let's look a bit closer at how strictly this is managed, because it's pretty cool. Take the auth column, for example. It is heavily restricted to very specific inputs. This means, as a developer, you instantly know if you're going to have to go hunt down a private API key, set up some complex OAuth flow, or if the endpoint is just completely wide open and requires no authentication at all. Seriously, this saves so much wasted time. But the CORS column, that's a really interesting security feature you need to look out for. The repo's documentation explicitly warns developers about this. CORS, or Cross-Origin Resource Sharing, is a strict browser security mechanism. If that column says no, your client-side web app's just running in a browser, yeah, they simply won't be able to fetch the data directly. You'd have to spin up a server-side proxy to use it. Knowing that before you start coding is incredibly valuable. That brings us to Section 3. The community and curators, the guardians of the trove. With such a massive directory, you're probably wondering, who actually keeps all these links from just rotting into endless 404 errors? Well, it's a huge collaborative effort. It's safeguarded by everyday open source community members, folks just like you and me, working right alongside corporate sponsors like API Layer. Together, they're the ones reviewing the pull requests, fixing broken links, and managing the endless flood of new API submissions. Let's dive into Section 4, the rules of contribution, reading the strict rulebook. To keep the quality this high, they definitely do not just accept anything. I absolutely love this quote directly from the repo because it really highlights their dedication. The maintainers actively reject those sneaky paid-tier marketing ploys. If you try to submit an API just to trap developers behind a paywall, no way. They are going to reject your pull request. They are fierce protectors of keeping these tools genuinely accessible.
Because of that philosophy, the whole contribution process is highly structured. First, your API absolutely must have a free tier, and it cannot require you to buy a physical device to make it work. On top of that, your addition has to be perfectly alphabetized in its category. And on the get side of things, you have to cleanly squash all your commits into one before you even open a pull request against the master branch. It is strict, for sure, but that's exactly what keeps the list so clean. And finally, Section 5, the catch with free data, moving from the Wild West to production. Okay, so as amazing as this open source resource is, we have to talk about what happens when you try to build a real production-level application with it. The hard truth? When you build raw with community APIs, you're basically dealing with a Wild West. Documentation formats are all over the place. Latency is totally unpredictable. Like, an API might respond in 50 milliseconds today and take 3 seconds tomorrow. Link rot is a constant headache, and honestly, the worst part is you have absolutely no centralized support to call if a crucial endpoint goes down while users are actually on your app. And that is exactly where managed API marketplaces step in to save the day. Take the repository sponsor, API Layer, for example. These managed hubs exist specifically to solve these exact headaches for engineering teams. They give you the awesome data you find in public lists, but wrapped up with the stability of a fully managed infrastructure. And trust me, the demand for that kind of stability is massive. We're talking over 445,000 developers relying on API Layer's hub. They make the jump to a managed platform because it takes on the heavy infrastructure lifting, the native integrations, and all the scaling that raw, decentralized public APIs just literally cannot handle on their own. When you look at it, the trade-off becomes crystal clear. The public GitHub list, it is absolutely fantastic for prototyping, discovery, or just hacking around on the weekend. But when it's time to move to an enterprise hub, you're trading that sort of fragmented experience for guaranteed low latency. You get one single API key to rule them all, centralized billing, and, maybe the biggest game changer, standardized, crystal clear documentation for every single tool you use. Plus, platforms like this curate their tools specifically around actual business needs, rather than just throwing them into random topic buckets. They offer hyper-localized, ultra-reliable tools that can easily chew through over 30 million API calls a month without even breaking a sweat. For instance, developers are plugging into their natively integrated IP Stack API not just for fun little maps, but for heavy-duty enterprise stuff like real-time fraud prevention, localized ad targeting, and strict regulatory compliance. So, having walked through the front doors of the ultimate open-source API treasure trove and seeing exactly how managed hubs can take those raw data points and scale them up for production, the only question left for you is this. With the whole world's data literally sitting at your fingertips, what are you going to build next? Are you creating the next breakthrough AI agent, or maybe a global tracking app? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and get building.